every time I'm getting rid of many things at once, I think to myself, am I having a mental breakdown? But I don't think I am. Hey, what's up? My name is Daniela and welcome to a new video. So today is a big day and I feel like getting rid of a significant portion of my books. So I do unhaul my books regularly, but I think that we can still do a pretty big cut because lately I've just been feeling like minimizing my possessions to the max or to the min. Depends on how you look at it. But yeah, my time in this apartment might be coming to an end. I don't have a moving date, I don't have any set plans, but I still feel the need to start downsizing and kind of preparing to be more mobile. I recently did a pretty big decluttering project where I mainly tackled other areas in my home. I will leave it in the description. But yeah, today I want to specifically focus on the bookshelves and specifically on the category of non-fiction and also kind of textbooky books that I own, because last year I had a goal to go through at least one of the textbooky books that I own, and it was one of the only goals that I failed. Like I don't think I even opened any of them, and during the last couple of book unhauls I was skipping this category of non-fiction and textbooks. So yeah, that will be the priority. Today I will start with that, and also I will start with counting all of the books so that I know what percentage I'm actually getting rid of. And then we will take every book out of the bookshelf and I will go through them one by one. And with the non-fiction books, I think it might take me quite a long time, because like with the textbooky books, I might just want to go through them like speedily and see if there's things that maybe like I want to save or anything. But yeah, let's get started with counting all the books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I might switch to check actually. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. So if I counted correctly, I have 71 books, which is a pretty awkward number, but we're working with what we have. So I've taken all of the non-fiction books out of the shelves and I will start going through them. I guess this time I will try to identify some that will be easier to part with, so maybe like I've read them, and then there are some that I haven't opened or read, so yeah, those will be more difficult, and these are the fiction books that I will go through later. So yeah, this is a tougher cookie than my usual unhauling or decluttering projects, because with a lot of these I've had them for a pretty long time and I was hoping to get a lot of value out of them, and maybe I did, maybe I haven't opened them. So yeah, I'm just making some piles, some kind of categories, and I just will be going through them when I have time during the day. So I've been going through the books throughout the day, and it's pretty challenging, but I'm actually enjoying that it's challenging, because I like when decluttering makes me think deeper about things, and then also maybe like sharing my experience and talking about decluttering might help you more when we like think about it more deeply. With this category, I just have to be confronting reality versus fantasy a lot more and ask myself, will I actually be studying from these books? Will I be going through them or referencing them, or is it something that my fantasy self would do? but my current self actually want to do it. When I set a goal for myself last year to get through at least one of the books, I didn't even specify which one. It was just pick one, and I still didn't do it. And I think I was thinking about my fantasy self that would just sit down and read an economy textbook, and I'm not going to do it apparently, like at least not at the current time. And there are two things. So first, I kind of have to let go of the scarcity mindset that like sometimes I can feel like, you know, these books are something really special and they are like irreplaceable source of information, where obviously that's not true. Like I have the internet, like I'm fine. And even if I need a book, or this specific book even on the topic in the future, for some reason I can still find it again, but you know, from today's perspective it's not very likely. And I also have to let go of kind of subconsciously like connecting, getting rid of the book with like a part of my identity. Like let's say if I get rid of a book about cleaning, that doesn't mean that I won't ever get better at cleaning, or that like that's not something I want to do. It just means that I don't think that I will sit down and go through this particular book. Like that's all that is. It's really not that deep, and I think that applies for decluttering in general, like especially when it comes to objects that aren't irreplaceable and aren't that sentimental. Like it's not that deep. These objects came into my life under various circumstances, some of them quite randomly, and many of them quite a few years ago. So nowadays, if they don't fit into my life, if they're not super valuable, if they're not super special, like yeah, I don't have to spend so much energy just trying to decide if like it's going to be changing my life if I get rid of them or not, you know. But despite saying all of this, I'm still not forcing anything. So for one thing, as I said, I skipped this category for many times during decluttering because I just wasn't ready for it. Now I'm going through them and I'm taking my time, and I'm kind of picking some books that I'm more sure about, and I currently have a pile that I'm not sure about, and I might still hang on to them for a bit. Even while decluttering, like you definitely don't have to force anything. But I think I've passed some mental barrier and things will get significantly easier from now on. Hello, it is Saturday, it's a few days later, and to be honest, I don't especially feel like being on camera today, but I have finished going through all of the non-fiction and textbooky books, and I'm excited to tell you which ones I'm keeping and which ones are going bye-bye. I'm very happy with the result. It did indeed keep getting easier as I went along, so that's good. But yeah, let's see what is leaving my collection. So first I have two things that aren't really books per se, but I was storing them in the bookshelves, and it is coloring books. So I have this one. This is just like kind of exercise book, like I haven't colored anything in this one. And then we have this one. This one is kind of like more sturdy, prettier, and yeah, I have colored maybe like 5 pictures in this. I have had it for years. I guess I was mainly doing like the couple that I did was during the pandemic, and yeah, I don't really color anymore, so these can be donated probably. Then this one is Jak na sítě. This is a Czech book about marketing on social media. I have read it previously and I really liked it, and now I basically reread it again. I guess I basically just read it kind of speedily, but yeah, basically in its entirety. And I just took a picture of a few of the pages because that might come in handy soon, but otherwise, yeah, I don't think I need the whole book anymore. Notes on a Nervous Planet by Matt Haig. I read this on audio a couple of years ago. I really liked it. It's probably my favorite book by Matt Haig. It's basically about anxiety and social media, and anxiety on social media. I found it relatable a lot when I read it a couple of years ago, but now I kind of lived through it, and yeah, it's kind of not speaking to me as much now. Yeah, I just don't think I need it anymore. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Very shiny. So yeah, this is by this time it is a classic non-fiction self-help book about habits, And yeah, I read it previously, I think on audio. I really liked it. I thought I was going to reread it at some point, but I'm probably not going to reread it. If I want to like refresh on some of the concepts, I can look up some summaries. I also subscribe to his newsletter, so yeah, that's also like another source of information. So yeah, I don't need this whole book anymore. Getting Things Done by David Allen. Very similar story, very classic self-help life organization book that I think helped me quite a lot when I read it quite a few years ago, again on audio. And yeah, then I bought a physical copy and thought I would reread it, and yeah, I don't think I'm going to. Again, some summaries or just like the extracted ideas would be helpful enough if I needed to refresh on them. Effective Writing in English, aka a very random book that I swapped. I thought I would read it, but yeah, I'm not going to read it. Economics for Dummies. This was very ambitious of me. I got it from a secondhand bookstore because I thought I would read it, but I mean, I am interested in economics, but only to some extent. And this form, black and white, kind of recycled paper, it's just not appealing to me to like study from it. And yeah, I studied economics in my master's, but yeah, I'm just not that interested to read any economics textbooks anymore. Beginning Programming with Python. Again, this for Dummies edition that I usually like, but this is in my current field, but I'm not currently using Python, and with textbooks about IT, it's kind of aging pretty quickly. And yeah, if I'm going to study Python, I'm going to choose another form than this book. Clean My Space by Melissa Maker. So she has a YouTube channel of the same name, and yeah, this is a very pretty book. So yeah, I like the format, I like the colors. Even though inside it's just all purple text, and while I love the purple, it can kind of get monotonous. And yeah, basically I thought that this book would help me with cleaning, but there are several problems. So first one is that she's recommending like specific products that are sold in the US. So like I instead need to look up things that people in Europe, or specifically in the Czech Republic, are recommending. And she's also making some of her own like cleaning products, and again, I want a recipe in Czech, like that will tell me like what is what. Like I don't want to like guess which chemicals I can substitute, you know. I guess this book can kind of be helpful, but it's also quite repetitive, and yeah, I'm just going to get my information from some other resource. The psychology book. So yeah, I was very intrigued by this format, this edition of books that is always like the something book, and then it's all pretty with a lot of pictures and diagrams inside. And yeah, we were being too ambitious. I'm not going to read it. I just lived through it, and it was just a bunch of history, you know, what did people in the 17th century think about psychology and stuff like that. So it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So yeah, I read a little bit of it today, but otherwise I'm just not interested. I thought I was, but I'm not. And by that I don't mean that like I'm not interested in psychology, because I am, but only in some specific things maybe, and I will want to consume it in another way, maybe like YouTube videos or maybe even audiobooks. But yeah, this just, I know that I'm not going to read it in its entirety. We have a true classic. We have English Grammar in Use by Raymond Murphy, and I don't know how it is where you live, but in my country this is like such a classic grammar book for people who are learning English. I was using this maybe like a decade ago or even earlier. I penciled a couple of the pages, so I will erase that and then I can give it to someone else. Yeah, I don't remember when exactly I got this, if it was before I went to a university and started studying English, or if it was a bit after that. But yeah, this one is quite nostalgic, but I have not used it in years and years. And again, if I wanted to practice my grammar, I would choose another avenue nowadays. Similar story, but this one is less nostalgic, and this is English Vocabulary in Use Advanced, and I barely ever use this. I got this many years ago, but a few years after the previous one, and maybe I looked into it a couple of times, but yeah, not that many times. And these ones are expensive. Like this was like $40, so hope I will get a couple of bucks or euros or Czech crowns actually for it, because yeah, this one is in a very good condition. Then we have this little textbooky book, which is like about life and culture in the Spanish speaking countries. I got this randomly, secondhand. This is just the kind of book that you would use in high school if you're learning Spanish as a second or third language. Not going to lie, this is like above my current level of Spanish. It's just like a bunch of text, not very appealing. So yeah, I will use other resources to learn about Spanish speaking countries. Then we have this really pretty little book, and it's an atlas of languages. So you have a bunch of maps and just text about, you know, all the different languages of the world. I've had this for such a long time, and I barely opened it before this project. And this time I kind of read like maybe like half of it. I kind of skipped around, but yeah, I did read some of it, and yeah, probably not going to return to it, so it can go. We've reached a kind of a tricky section with books that I wouldn't think that I would be getting rid of them maybe like a few years ago, but we are. And we have Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. This was my second book that I read by Brené Brown. I read this last year and I was a bit underwhelmed by it. So I don't think I'm taking away like too many things from this book specifically, but even though like she might not have said this in the exact words, it just made me think about the importance of like unpacking all kinds of shame that is present in our lives, whether it's from childhood or from the current time, and you know, I really unpack it in therapy or something, but yeah, otherwise I don't need this anymore. And then also I have Rising Strong by Brené Brown. This was my first book I read by Brené Brown. I read it on audio, I really liked it. I got this paper version. I thought I was going to reread it, but I'm not going to reread it. Lately I've seen some things about Brené Brown that made me think about her and her work a bit more critically, so yeah, I encourage you to do so if you're interested in reading her books. And then we have The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine and Aaron. So this is a book for HSPs, aka people that have a sensitive nervous system and stuff like that. And I tapped quite a lot of a few things that I found relatable. And nowadays a lot of people believe that a highly sensitive person, aka HSP, will often be just a soft word for autism, and I do find resources about autism to be more beneficial for me than HSP resources ever were, so there's that. And then I also have Making Work for the Highly Sensitive Person by Barry Jagger. So this author was basically inspired to write a book about HSP and work based on, you know, learning about HSP from the previous author. And I did find this book very interesting. I read it quite a few years ago, and also like it was probably my first time that I was tabbing something, and look at that mess. And in this book she kind of describes work in like 3 levels, and the lowest level is drudgery, when like it's really insufferable. Then like you have the middle level, which is craft, like some things are good, some things aren't good. And then the highest level is calling. And yeah, then she uses like 3 kind of aspects to determine which level you are at. I mean, not like level, but like which like type, I guess. And it's control, meaning, and challenge, which actually makes quite a lot of sense to me. I think I read this book maybe like in my mid-20s or something like that, and by now I have like a much better idea of what I want my work to look like. The main challenge right now is just to execute on it and make it a reality. But yeah, this book, I would say it helped me quite a lot in the past, but yeah, I don't need it anymore. And now let's just briefly go through the books that I'm keeping. There are fewer of them than that I'm decluttering, which I'm really happy about. So first we have some tiny little Spanish things. So we have Tiny Spanish Dictionary, learn 101 Spanish verbs in a day, which is an outrageous claim, but otherwise it might come in handy. And kind of Spanish travel guide, also like in Czech, but yeah, could be useful. Then I have my cookbooks. So I have the 20-minute vegan, got this for Christmas. Then I have the Make It Vegan. Oh yeah, I should be saying the names. So this one by Callum Harris. This one by Madeline Olivia, recently got this. Then I have Versatile Vegan by Madeline Olivia, and this was just her ebook that I got years ago and printed it out. 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. I read this last year and I just feel like I might want to reread it. So maybe I will. Biggles Internet, Understanding the New Rules of Language by Gretchen McCulloch. This is my TBR book. I also got it for Christmas. This is one of the 2 books that are currently on my TBR. Very special. Then I have a Spanish textbook. This is for self-learners. I used it a couple of years ago, quite a lot, but I only got to like lesson maybe 5. So I'm currently not using it, but I will be looking into like getting a Spanish tutor, just not right now, because right now I'm in the middle of an intense online course. Then I have a Bible, SQL for Dummies by Ellen G. Taylor. So I'm currently using SQL in my current job, and yeah, it's a language that I quite like, quite interests me. And while I'm getting rid of some of the other For Dummies books and the other programming book, I think with this one there is a higher chance that I will actually open it and maybe read a bit. I have read like maybe like 100 pages of this one already, so yeah, this might happen. It's incredibly heavy though, like wow, and it was so expensive, so maybe like one day I will sell it. And the last one is another Bible. I'm just keeping all the Bibles, and this is The Freelance Way by Robert Bloch. So this is a Czech author, kind of very, I don't know, important figure in the Czech freelance scene, and he wrote this book. It's also translated into English. I read this in its entirety maybe like 6 years ago. And yeah, while I am currently an employee, I don't plan to be an employee for the eternity. So yeah, I think I will be returning to this book. So that's all of the non-fiction books sorted. Most of them I will try to sell, and some of them I will probably donate. And yeah, I didn't say at the beginning, but selling the books and getting some extra cash is definitely an extra motivation, because I really need it right now. But yeah, getting rid of them and just going through all of this work, like it took me quite a few hours to go through all of these books and decide if I am giving up on them or not. And now it's like I've done all of this work, and then when I am actually ready to move, you know, there will be work that I won't have to do anymore. Even if I go like through another round of Unhaul, it will be much smaller. Like I won't accumulate like this number of books for sure. And so now all that is left is go through the fiction books, which should be much easier. It is a few days later, and now I have gone through the fiction books as well. Every time I'm getting rid of many things at once, I think to myself, am I having a mental breakdown? But I don't think I am. But I am going through a pretty crazy period of my life. Also, if you're into astrology, which like I like to amuse myself with it, I'm not an expert on anything, but apparently like times are especially like interesting for some signs, including mine, which I'm against it. And honestly, I thought that I would be able to set aside more books from the fiction category right at the beginning, but maybe I exhausted the brutal energy on the non-fiction books, and again, we are not forcing anything. So, firstly, I set aside 6 books that I want to reread. Those are books that I really loved. Most of them are 5 stars, and yeah, I want to reread them and see if I still like them that much. And I still might like unhaul them after I reread them, because like, you know, I will have read them twice and that might be enough. I think I'm going to do a rereading vlog about this, so yeah. So first let's talk about the books that I'm keeping, unless I change my mind. So first we have the Brown Sister series by Talia Hibbert. So this is one of my favorite romance series. I have read all of the volumes twice, I think, now. And yeah, there's a very high chance that I will read it at least once more. So definitely keeping those. Then we have the Kiss Quotient series by Helen Huang. And this one I read the first volume twice and the rest of them only once. And I really love them, but honestly I'm not sure if I'm going to reread them, because I read the first one twice already and it was my least favorite from the bunch, although like I gave all of them 5 stars. And although I really liked volumes 2 and 3, I'm just not sure if I will want to reread them, but I guess I'm keeping the series for now because it's just, yeah, it's one of the favorites too. And then we have the Bright Fall series by Ashley Herring Blake. So this is another one of my favorite romance series. So I have read the first 2 volumes, gave both of them 5 stars. And yeah, I still need to read Iris Kelly Doesn't Date. So yeah, obviously keeping the whole series because yeah, I think there's a chance that I would reread the volumes. Then we have Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman, another one of my favorites. So I guess I read volume 1 twice and the rest of them once. I haven't read volume 5, and although is the whole series online? I think it is, and these are really chunky. So like in theory I could get rid of it, but not yet. Then we have Casey McQuiston books, so Red, White and Royal Blue and One Last Stop. So Red, White and Royal Blue I bought last year in Gran Canaria at a secondhand bookstore. It was great, and yeah, I bought it because I read it on audio and I want to reread it. One Last Stop I'm not sure I'm going to reread actually, but I still kind of want to keep it for now. Then we have my Jane Austen books. I own 5 of the 6 novels. I don't own Sense and Sensibility. As you can see, they are mismatched and I'm not sure I will be rereading all of them, but I kind of want to own them for now, so yeah, they're staying. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, aka one of my favorite books, is staying. The Wild Winchester series by Erica Ridley. So I read the first one on ebook, then I got this one, and they are definitely rereadable. I want to continue with the series as well, so I'm keeping this one for now. Then we have Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Sutanto. So this I also want to continue with the series, and this one I think is also quite rereadable, so keeping it for now. Then we have Death Note volumes 1 and 2, and I don't know what to do with this series because I want to finish it, but I don't especially want to buy all of the volumes, and the library doesn't have it, and even the secondhand bookstores don't have all of the volumes, so it's kind of annoying. I can imagine that once I'm done with the series, and also like by the time I get to volume 3, if I continue with the series, I would probably reread these 2 volumes. So yeah, I think once I will be done with the series, I might not be holding on to it anymore, but for now I'm keeping it, and yeah, we will see how it will be solved. Then I have one solitary volume of the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. This is volume 2, and yeah, I don't know what to do with the series either. Like, do I want to collect all of the hardcovers? That is quite expensive and also takes up a lot of space, and also I think the last volume has been pushed again, so I also quite don't know what to do with the series. I haven't read past volume 2 because I was kind of waiting for the new book to come out, but if it's not coming out this year, I don't know. And then I have my books in Spanish. So I have Coco Up and the Alé, the first book I read in Spanish last year, and we also have El Principito, aka The Little Prince, that I just got on the Canary Islands this January, and yeah, I would like to go through it this year. And those are the books that I'm keeping, apart from the 6 that I set aside to reread. And now let's talk about the books that I'm getting rid of, probably. Oh my god, really? So first we have The 12 Days of Dash and Lily by Richard Cohen and David Levitan. So this is the sequel to Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, which is one of my favorite Christmas books, one of my favorite young adult books probably. I already read the first book twice, and then I got this one, and I read this last Christmas, and I have to say that this one isn't as good as the first volume. If you didn't like the first book, don't go into this one. Like, this is for hardcore fans. Like, I still kind of enjoyed it, but yeah, it wasn't that good. And I might still read it sometime in the future, like if I'm especially in the mood, because I like really the world and the characters and yeah, stuff about the series. But I have the first book on ebook, so if I ever want to read the second book for the second time, I might just get an ebook. But yeah, I think I'm good for now. Then we have Leah Johnson's book. So we have You Should See Me in a Crown and Rise to the Sun. So both of these were 5 stars for me, which I know that for this one it is an unpopular opinion, like people don't like this one. But yeah, I really enjoyed both of these. So this one is like high school drama kind of. This one is set at a summer festival, and both of them are young adult sapphic romances, or you know, they are kind of general contemporaries but they contain sapphic romances. Although I really enjoyed both of these, I just don't think I will be rereading them. I was thinking that maybe I would reread Rise to the Sun, but I think that's more like a scarcity mindset, because how many sapphic books set at a summer festival you know of? You know, so like if I want the specific vibe of a book set in a summer festival that has a sapphic romance, like what are my choices? But yeah, it's fine, I can get rid of these. Then we have a tough one that I'm pretty sure I want to get rid of, but it is just a little bit difficult. And it is the Cows series, so the first book being An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, and the second book being A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. And this is one of the best sci-fi series I've ever read. It is amazing. It's such a wild ride. It covers so many topics. And yeah, I immensely enjoyed it. I read the first book twice and then I continued with the sequel, which really a wild ride. But yeah, I might be fine for now. Like, I probably don't need to reread it like anytime soon. Then we have the Love Sister series collection by Christina C. Jones. So this is a bind-up of 3 novellas, and I mainly bought it because I really loved the first one when I read it on ebook. So I got this book, reread the first one, continued and read the other 2, and yeah, I really like the first one, but I think I still have it on ebook, and I actually didn't enjoy the other 2 that much. This is kind of like the Brown Sister series, that like in each novella we follow one sister. So yeah, I might still return to the first one someday, but I probably won't be rereading the other 2. Then we have another one that I'm almost sure about, and that is Rosalind Palmer Takes the Cake by Alexis Hall. So I really enjoyed this. Gave it this 5 stars. I didn't like the sequel, and then there's one other book coming out in the series. But yeah, I really like this one, but upon further reflection I probably don't need to reread it, and I would rather read other books by Alexis Hall. This is an adult romance about baking competition, which was really fun, but again, there are like many other books with this theme, and yeah, other Alexis Hall books on my TBR. Then we have Blackout by several authors, and this is an anthology of short stories, young adult short stories about a blackout in New York, and I really enjoyed this. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I was probably mainly keeping it because it's absolutely stunning. It has 2 of my favorite colors, but I think it can go. Next we have Stuff I've Been Feeling Lately by Alicia Cook. So this is a poetry collection, and this is the only poetry collection I currently own. I don't read that much poetry, although like I was saying that I wanted to, but I'm not reading it, so I don't know. And yeah, I quite enjoyed this one, but probably not that much so that I would want to return to it all the time. Next we have Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. Another absolutely stunning book. So this is a novel in verse about a boy who wants to perform, I guess, kind of like a drag queen. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one, but yeah, again, I don't think I will be rereading it. And then we have Loveless by Alice Oseman. So this is a young adult book about a girl who goes to university, is discovering her identity. And yeah, this has a race rep. Really enjoyed it, but I don't think I will be rereading it, and I would rather send it to the next person to read. So those are all of the books, and I haven't done proper calculations, but I guess I'm not actually getting rid of most of my books today. Like, it won't go above 50%. If I unhaul all of the books I'm going to reread, it will probably come pretty close to 50%, but yeah, so far it's not, but it's still a pretty big chunk. Not going to lie, like on one hand I'm a little bit disappointed that I'm not actually getting rid of most of my books, because that would be quite phenomenal. But on the other hand, I know that I've done a lot of work and I'm getting rid of some books that I've been holding on to years and years, so that's definitely good. I might make more decisions before I actually move, but that's for future videos. So for now, thank you for going on another decluttering journey with me. Let me know your thoughts. What are you thinking about decluttering and getting rid of a lot of books at once, or do you like to do it in smaller installments? Do you think I'm making a mistake? Tell me everything, or just leave me an emoji to let me know you were here. But that is all for today's video. Like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye!